Welcome to Architron 2025. This release is a game changer with a completely rewritten core, a streamlined interface, and deeper integration with Cinema 4D. Let's dive into the new features that will redefine your workflow. UCS Workplane. The UCS system has been completely revamped, and now it's fully synced with Cinema 4D's Workplane. This is essential to understand because it enhances all of Architron's tools. Snapping system. Say hello to a fully interactive snapping system with visual previews. It works hand in hand with the UCS system, delivering unmatched precision. Snapping has never been this intuitive. Create tools. Our Create tools have been simplified and supercharged. The new Recognize mode lets you reparameterize tools in existing geometry, making it easier than ever to work with destructive modeling. It's powerful, innovative, and will save you tons of time. Modify tools. Modify tools are now fully optimized to work with the new UCS and snapping systems. Plus, the new touch mode lets you drag in point mode with ease. It's all about smooth, efficient workflows. Edit tools. Edit tools have been separated from selection tools for a cleaner experience. We've also added quick access to your favorite options via OGL buttons, streamlining your editing process. It's faster, simpler, and more efficient. Parametric Windows. Our Parametric Window tool is now more flexible than ever. With 5 levels of customizable profiles, from outer frames to glass panes, you can create anything from basic to highly detailed windows in a snap. General updates. In this final chapter, we'll touch on the remaining updates. Architron 2025 features reorganized tabs and OGL buttons, dimension unification with Cinema 4D, and the removal of legacy tools for better compatibility. This makes the version faster, cleaner, and more stable. Now, let's dive into each chapter and explore these exciting new features in detail. Get ready to transform your workflow with Architron 2025. In this chapter, we'll explore the new UCS Workplane system, which is now fully integrated with Cinema 4D's native Workplane. Understanding how the UCS system works is key to using Architron's tools efficiently. Whenever you activate any creation or modify tool in Architron, Cinema's Workplane is automatically locked and linked to Architron's UCS. This ensures that, as long as the tool is active, both systems are perfectly in sync. You can adjust the Workplane using either Cinema 4D's controls or Architron's tools, whichever you prefer. Let's go through the 3 different UCS modes. In UCS Off mode, Architron doesn't alter the Workplane, relying entirely on Cinema 4D's default Workplane. Tools like the Rectangle tool are restricted to this Workplane. However, freeform tools, like the Line or Drag tools, prioritize geometry, snapping to surfaces first and then the Workplane. So even when UCS is off, you're not confined to the Workplane. It remains flexible. In Auto mode, the UCS adjusts automatically based on the active tool, working differently in orthographic and perspective viewports. You can enable or disable Auto mode quickly using the A shortcut during the tool's hovering phase. In ortho viewports, like top or right, the UCS aligns with the default world planes. However, in perspective viewports, the UCS snaps to surfaces, adjusting the Workplane to match the surface's plane and the viewport's orientation. If you snap to an edge, the UCS will also align with that edge, adjusting the Workplane's orientation accordingly. The origin of the UCS Workplane is set to match the corner of the snapped surface. By default, it is placed at the lower left corner, but you can easily change this to another corner using the UCS panel's Corner option. In Auto mode, the UCS is highlighted in green. However, if the object you're working on is a 2D object, the UCS color changes to blue, indicating that you are working on a 2D object. If you prefer to ignore 2D objects in Auto UCS hovering mode, you can disable this option in the panel. Finally, in fixed mode, the UCS locks the current workplane in place. This can be quickly toggled with the F shortcut, which is especially useful when working alongside auto mode. In fixed mode, the UCS turns red, indicating that the workplane is now static and cannot be adjusted. Whether you're in auto or fixed mode, all tools, including freeform tools, are restricted to the active workplane. One last thing to note is the HUD, which provides useful feedback on the actual mouse event position in the viewport. You can display this information in either UV workplane coordinates or world coordinates, making it visible in the bottom left corner of the viewport for easy reference. Understanding how the UCS system integrates with Cinema 4D's workplane will allow you to maximize your efficiency with Architron's tools. Now, let's move on to the next chapter and explore more features. In this chapter, we'll explore Architron 2025's completely rewritten snapping engine, which is now more powerful and interactive than ever before. The new Snap To option lets you control whether snapping is limited to specific objects or applies to the entire scene. You can choose between all objects to enable snapping across the entire scene, or selected objects to narrow the snapping down to just the objects you've selected. This feature is especially helpful in large, complex scenes, allowing for more precision and smoother workflow by focusing on particular parts of the scene. The snapping engine now includes enhanced visual previews. As the snap event occurs, if it involves multiple snap types, only the major snap type is indicated at the mouse position. However, you'll also see the related snap buttons highlighted in blue, giving you immediate feedback on which snap types are active. For instance, in this example, both edge snapping and angle constraint snapping are happening. The mouse point shows an EDG note for the edge snap, while the EDG and ANGL buttons are highlighted in blue, showing that both the edge and angle snaps are influencing this point. The grid snapping system has been enhanced with a new auto mode. The current grid size is always displayed in the HUD, so you can easily track the snapping scale. As you zoom in or out, you'll notice the grid size automatically adjusts based on the zoom level of your active viewport. For example, when we zoom out, the grid size increases to match the broader view, and when we zoom in, the grid becomes finer for more detailed work. This dynamic adjustment ensures precise snapping at any scale. The ruler now has a new distance mode, using the grid value from the snap options. It works with various snapping types. For angle snap, the ruler measures the distance from the snap pivot to the mouse event, following the snapped angle line. With edge snap, the ruler can snap from either side. Hovering over the opposite end switches the side. For projection snap, the ruler snaps to distances from the projection point along the projection line. The projection snapping system is a new feature in Architron 2025, allowing you to snap to projection lines created from projection points. These points must be manually added using the Alt+A shortcut, which places them at the mouse position in the scene. You can use modifiers to control how projection points generate snapping lines. In ortho mode, projection lines align with the UCS's UV axis. In perpendicular, perp mode, the lines snap perpendicularly to geometry. In tangent tan mode, the lines snap tangent to geometry. You can clear all projection points with the Clear OGL button and start over. With the new snapping engine, your workflow becomes faster and more precise. Now, let's move on to the next chapter to explore more exciting features of Architron 2025. In this chapter, we'll explore the Create tools in Architron 2025, focusing on the exciting new features, particularly the Primitives Recognition mode. The new Recognition mode is a key feature in this version, now available in every primitive tool. When you activate, for example, the Rectangle tool and the Recognition option is enabled, all possible rectangle shapes in the viewport are highlighted in blue. You can choose one and by clicking on it, the rectangle tool is reapplied to that shape, allowing you to continue editing it as a parametric object. This gives you the flexibility to re-edit and refine shapes even after they've been created. Now let's try the line tool, which is the most flexible when using recognition mode. When applied to an existing polyline, you can now easily add or remove points, giving you complete control over the shape. You can even switch between polyline and spline modes, making it incredibly versatile for different types of edits and refinements. Next, it's important to note that Primitives recognition is UCS plane sensitive. If the UCS is active, only shapes that lie on the active UCS plane will be recognized. For example, here we have 3 rectangles on different planes. As you can see, only the rectangle that lies on the active UCS plane is highlighted and recognized for editing. This ensures that you're only interacting with shapes that align with the current UCS orientation. Let's move on to the next chapter to explore more of Architron 2025's exciting new features. In this chapter, we'll explore the Modify tools in Architron 2025, which have seen significant improvements and speed optimizations. One of the key enhancements is that after geometry is modified, the original version of the geometry remains visible while the tool is active. This allows you to snap to the original version during the modification process, providing greater control and accuracy. The most notable improvement is the redesigned Drag tool. In point selection mode, you can now directly modify curves by touching the curve itself, not just the control points. The tool automatically identifies and adjusts the nearest control point to ensure the curve passes through the dragged point, making curve adjustments faster and more intuitive. The Modify tools have also been updated to work seamlessly with the new UCS system and snapping. They benefit from all the new UCS and snapping features. When UCS is active, the Modify tools are restricted to the workplane, whether it's in auto or fixed mode. If the UCS is off, the Modify tools operate freely in 3D space, allowing for more flexibility in your modifications. These updates make the Modify tools faster and more precise, providing a smoother and more interactive experience. In this chapter, we'll explore the Edit tools in Architron 2025, which have been simplified and streamlined for a cleaner workflow. The selection phase has been removed, and selection is now managed entirely by the Selection tools. The Edit tools work seamlessly with the Selection tools. You select the geometry, use an Edit tool to modify it, and then return to the Selection tool to continue working. This cycle makes the process much more efficient. Let's explain more details about this cycle. Key shots for activating the Edit tools have been removed, but you can now start them directly from the Selection tool using these OGL buttons. Once the Edit tool is activated, it instantly modifies the geometry. In every Edit tool, the most commonly used parameters from the attribute panel are now available as OGL buttons for quicker adjustments. The Edit tools no longer discard the selection after an edit is completed. This means during the selection edit cycle, the geometry remains selected, allowing you to continue editing without needing to reselect manually. Now let me show you a few more cycles of the Edit tools to demonstrate just how efficient this new workflow can be. Most useful edit parameters and options are now accessible right in the viewport, making the editing process faster and more intuitive. Additionally, there's a new Connect option in the Divide tool. This was added primarily for dividing window frames, but can be applied more generally. It works exclusively in edge selection mode. When a series of edges is selected, the tool divides them and connects the division points in the order of selection, from the first selected edge to the next, and so on. These updates make the Edit tools more streamlined, efficient, and powerful, giving you faster control over your edits. In this chapter, we'll explore the Parametric Windows in Architron 2025. The Parametric Window object now generates highly detailed windows using 5 parametric components. This completes the previous version's functionality and provides the ability to create windows with intricate details and a high level of customization. Let's start by quickly recapping what the previous version does. The first step is to create a window object. By default, the window object automatically generates windows. In the previous version, we covered in detail the various ways to add basic window shapes. There are several methods, but for this example, I'll demonstrate a quick approach, drawing the window shapes directly on the walls. When using the rectangle tool, after the first click on the wall, remember, the Windows object must be selected. The generated mode of the window object is switched to wall shapes mode, and a wall shape object is created and attached. You can continue drawing shapes into it. This object has the 2D option disabled, meaning Auto UCS won't restrict you. Now that the wall shapes are created, we can move on to adjusting the window parts. Under the Profile tab, you'll find 5 new customizable window components. First, I'll disable all of them, so we can start adjusting each part individually. These 5 customizable window parts are new, allowing for much more detailed and flexible window designs. Now, let's start with the outer profile. Each window part opens its own tab with a set of parameters. These parameters are mostly self-explanatory, mainly controlling dimensions, and by adjusting them, you can see the effect they have on the window. By default, each profile part is rectangular. However, if you enable the Custom Profile option, it generates a 2D profile object based on the current parameters and automatically attaches it to the window object, allowing you to fully customize the outer profile into any shape you want. With the updated UCS system, the Auto UCS mode automatically recognizes the selected 2-dimensional object and aligns the top viewport with it, making editing more precise and efficient. Now we have the 2D object aligned in the top viewport and the window visible in the perspective viewport. As we shape the profile, the window updates in real time, allowing for full control and easy visualization of the changes. We can now edit the outer profile into the desired shape and level of detail. Custom profiles allow us to create highly detailed windows in just a few moments. This same approach can be applied to the other window components, giving you the flexibility to customize every part of the window to the exact shape and detail you need. In this example, we'll continue with simple rectangular shapes, reverting back by removing the custom profile. The next parametric component is the inner profile, which creates the basic main window frame. Following that, we have the glass profile, which fills the space between the glass panel and the inner frame. The glass pane part generates the main glass body. Lastly, the sill profile creates an extruded profile at the bottom of each window. Let's go briefly through the parameters for each window component. Outer profile. The size, in, out, and extrude parameters define the size and thickness of the outer profile. Inner profile. The size and depth parameters control the dimensions of the inner profile. You can choose between a single or double size, which becomes relevant when applied to windows with divisions. The positioning option defines how the inner frame is offset within the wall. By default, it's centered, but you can adjust it to offset toward the front or back of the wall. Glass profile. Similar to the inner profile, the size and depth parameters define its dimensions. The positioning option works the same but is relative to the previous part, either the inner frame, outer frame, or wall, creating a layered relative alignment. Glass pane. The pane can consist of 1 or 2 surfaces. Its positioning works the same way, aligning based on the previous profile. Sill profile. The height, up and height down parameters define how the sill stretches from the bottom of the window. The extrude mode can either extend from the previous active frame or directly from the wall. When set to frame mode, the sill is tightly attached to the window frame. The default setting is wall-based extrusion. You can also extrude the sill front to back and sideways, as we are doing now in this example. The new version adds an elegant way to manage multiple materials. In the Profiles tab, simply check the Materials option, and material tags are automatically generated for each window part. You can then assign the desired materials to each part. Let's close this chapter with a few tips and tricks. When modifying wall shapes objects that generate window frames, use the combination of shortcuts A and F to switch between auto and fixed UCS modes. This helps to lock the workplane on the wall you want to work on. The rectangle recognition mode makes it easy to quickly reshape rectangular windows. To switch between walls, just hover with your mouse and press A, then F. It's fast and efficient. Then reshape the windows using the rectangle tool. The Fillet Edit tool in point selection mode is a great way to convert rectangular windows into arched ones. The Divide Edit tool in edge selection mode allows you to quickly add divisions to windows. With the Connect option enabled, you can quickly adjust the division count, and again, selecting another row of edges to divide can further refine your window design. This tool is particularly effective for adding inner frames to window shapes. The combination of all these parts, along with their parameters and custom profiles, opens up endless possibilities for creating detailed and flexible windows in any architectural visualization project. This update is massive, with the core of Architron completely rebuilt. It's faster, features improved visuals, and is simplified across all levels. The integration with Cinema 4D has also been deepened. In this chapter, we'll highlight important global updates that weren't covered in previous chapters. First, the tool tabs have been completely reorganized, featuring categorized OGL buttons that appear directly in the viewport for a more intuitive and customizable experience. Each category of buttons can be enabled or disabled based on your needs, allowing you to declutter the viewport and focus on the tools you're using. For example, the UCS tab has its own set of buttons that can be toggled on or off, depending on whether you need UCS functions visible. Similarly, the Snap tab is equipped with its own dedicated buttons for managing snapping options, which can also be enabled or disabled as needed. The Create Object tab contains buttons specific to object creation, and like the others, these can be toggled for better control over your viewport workspace. Even tool-specific buttons, such as those for the Rectangle tool, are now easily accessible via OGL buttons in the viewport. This system has been applied across all of Architron, making it easier to streamline your workflow and focus only on the tools that are relevant to your current task. Second, the dimension system is now fully integrated with Cinema 4D dimensions. This means the dimension settings in the attribute panel are now fully compatible with Architron's internal dimension system. Previously, Architron used its own system, which caused compatibility issues, but now it's unified, and this problem has been solved. Next, the legacy tools have been fully removed from this version. While this may be a bit inconvenient, it was necessary for compatibility with the latest Cinema 4D 2025. Removing these legacy parts makes the latest version faster, cleaner, better unified with Cinema, and more stable. We apologize for the inconvenience, but most of the functionality from the legacy tools is already available in the new tools, and the remaining features will be updated very soon.